It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Yo, pardon my tardiness, about 2 minutes late. Busy day, busy day, busy evening, busy morning. I teased out the live stream, the title of the live stream. Good morning, Captain Glitter. You up? D, you up? Yeah, is it a good morning? It's a lot, y'all. I think it's a lot. And I'm gonna try to stay as organized as possible. First of all, shout out to everybody. Whiskey Neat, shout out Captain Glitter, D, Evelyn, Taylor Hickman. Shout out some of the new folks to the chat. Meg last night. Shout out Katie King. Shout out Noah. Shout out no sound. What? No sound? My mic is on. Can y'all hear me? D Bartlett, still mad? D, you always having issues. You be scaring the shit out of me. All right. Sorry. You be scaring the shit out of me. Who this? A new subby. Good morning. Say it. Drop a name in the chat, subby. You friend or foe? We had to come up with some sort of check. Thank you for the mic check. Do you stay scaring me? Not you. It's not you. It's just it's the experience on Twitch. Good. I'm glad folks can hear me. Shout out to the new sub. Hopefully that's a friend and that just sub. What up, Katie? Good to see you. All right, so you had to turn your phone down last night. You having a Mika moment with tech. What up, Jay? I just had to check. We be getting all kinds of characters, XYZ, turn into bots and whatnot, but no bots have ever subscribed, so I kind of knew it was a friend. What up? Appreciate the support. Yo, it's just been a real, like last night was crazy. And, I hopped off before we got to the 2 agenda items from City Council. We went live last night. Shout out to everybody who joined me last night. We went live. I started at 5:15. I was trying to start after invocation. I was trying to start after Pledge of Allegiance. Not because I'm, that much opposed to any of those things, but just try to get to the meat and potatoes. But for those who joined me, or for those who watched on your own, for those who read the paper this morning or whatever, caught up this morning, you saw that our city council started this very important meeting 90 minutes late, about 90 minutes late, right? It was a train wreck, and it really outside of being frustrated, right? So I wanted to lean into the frustration. I felt the collective frustration of Charleston, of the city of Charleston, folks who engage with this content, folks who engage with various community centered content creators and whatnot. I wanted to lean into the collective frustration, but today is, guess it's a lot going on today. Today is International Democracy Day. And so I'm like, damn, it's kind of serendipitous, because last night what we saw was not a good day for democracy in Charleston, South Carolina. We're in a week now where the local visitors bureau, the local tourism regime, the local tourism industrial complex has been ramping up the publicity around this new accolade that they bought for millions and millions of dollars from Condé Nast, the distinction of being the #1 city in America to visit, right? We're today this is a week and a day where we saw city council say and do things that are honestly reflective of what Charleston really is. CVB, no PR machine, no fluffy tweets, no events and activities happening down in the French Quarter, down in the heart and soul of our tourism district. None of that really reflects what went on. But last night, City Council, that's what Charleston really is. So I'm seeing words like train wreck, shit show, dumpster fire. That's who Charleston really is. That's the number one motherfucking city. This city last night demonstrated that they are unwilling to do do their job and have, y'all, we all have worked, for the most part, many people who watch this right now, we've held jobs, right? We've held jobs that had really maybe, we've held jobs that didn't have the best type of conditions, or maybe your tasks weren't great or glamorous. Maybe they were dirty jobs, but you had to do it to get that check. You had to perform your core roles. Last night, City Council, and I know they met, and I know they planned to do exactly what they did last night. Not for 1 minute do I buy that this was just organically in no way, shape, or form do I think that the Ways and Means Committee running over till after 6 was unintentional. We saw our city council, our city leadership choose to make democracy inaccessible for the people they serve. Your job doesn't just include ribbon cuttings, showing up at local community-led events, showing up to pick up trash for a photo op. Your job isn't just being able to sign off on ordinances and policies that make it easy for you to conduct your business and support the business class here. Your job has some other core competencies, and part of that is listening to the public, no matter how gritty, no matter how long, no matter how hard it is to hear pointed feedback. And yes, maybe you have to entertain some really unpleasant comments, but there are mechanisms in place to help guide those conversations or guide that process. So instead of using those, what's already readily available to City Council, you chose to limit the citizen participation period. For the first time, as someone said on my Instagram last night, we've been having hard discussions about Calhoun monuments, about race and equity. This wasn't new. These conversations weren't new. The only thing new is that the Delta variant numbers are new. That's the only thing new is coronavirus. We've been tackling and talking about tough issues forever here in Charleston. And for you to create this precedent where you wanted to diminish the will of the people, where you muted people like Dr. Felice Knight, where you muted people like community leaders, where you put invested stakeholders on a shot clock. People like me, I was doing a little too much. I was streaming, and then I didn't know I was going to be the first one called, and I didn't get the prompt. But it shouldn't have been that hard for me to give my opinion, which I wrote down. A comment I prepared. Like I'm not unprepared. I can whip up some words and I can put together a cohesive thought. But because of the disorienting nature, how disoriented I was and how discombobulated the situation was, I wasn't able to show up and give my best thoughts before getting muted. And so I want to say to everybody who's watching on International Democracy Day, or the International Day of Democracy, we need to send a message loud and clear to our elected officials. You need to call your council person and let them know how disappointed you were, and how they intentionally, and they can tell you it wasn't intentional, but there was no will to stop the conversation from the Ways and Means Committee proceedings, knowing they had nearly 100 people signed up to offer comment about, if not the mask ordinance, the Commission on Equity, Inclusion, and Racial Conciliation. Knowing you had over 80 people signed up to speak. When I dialed in, I heard 70. Then when some of y'all dialed in, you heard 82, right? Shame on City Council. Shame on our elected officials. That is who Charleston really is. I got y'all in the chat. I'm about to come to it. That's the real Charleston. And we need to continuously show America what the real Charleston is. Shit, this Michigas with the Murdaugh family. This is the Low Country. Ghetto as fuck. A hot ghetto mess where the privileged class is out here showing their tails. So we're going to revisit parts of the city council meeting that I could not live stream. I needed to take a break, y'all. I was on for like over 2 hours, I think. And not to say that you, whoa, Tamika, 2 hours. It was a lot, especially given the fact that I was on earlier in the morning. And it was a lot just to sit through all of this bureaucratic bullshit that they intentionally put in place to make democracy inaccessible. Right? So let me read the chat real quick before I switch over. The agenda was too long. Absolutely. They don't run efficient. This is Michelle Brandt. Thank you. The agenda was too long. They don't run an efficient meeting, right? In your opinion, right? Like the Ways and Means. I don't know when you started watching, but the Ways and Means meeting, because we all went on to YouTube because it was going to be 100% virtual. That was another like tactic. You didn't want to face the music. You didn't want to take your medicine in person. So you didn't, you put it out of arm's reach before in Daniel Island trying to celebrate this new space, gymnasium space. But you could have found something over here, the same square footage, if not similar, here in either West Ashley or somewhere that y'all annexed on James Island. Y'all could have found a place to have that meeting, but you didn't want to hear the music. You didn't want to face the music. You didn't want to take your medicine. And so you made it virtual, right? Making democracy that much more inaccessible for folks, right? Not wanting to hear dissenting opinions, right? Let me read over here. Joni, you said good morning. Sorry that people couldn't get their comments in. Yeah, democracy dies in the dark, for real. And this is a broader conversation about how our certain civic arenas operate and who has access and who doesn't. We're not even going to talk about the tech divide, right? Now, for someone like me, I enjoy, not enjoy, but I'm cool with the virtual proceedings. But I definitely was ready. I was ready to go and be in person. But guess what? We ready for September 28th. Thank y'all for chiming in the chat. Let me switch up real quick. Thank y'all for chiming in the chat. I'm gonna go back and read some of this. Shout out Charleston Weather. We're just gonna get through the perfunctory stuff. Shout out Charleston Weather. Shout out Jared. Today, y'all, 20% chance of rain, mid-80s. Go out there, get some sun, enjoy your city. It's not just for tourists. If you in Charleston or Charleston adjacent, go out and enjoy your city. This is your city. You pay taxes. This is your city. Not just that you pay taxes, you're invested. This is where you need to be, right? So that's that. I wanted it's so much to get to, y'all. Got 18 billion tabs open. We gonna get through Capitol riot news. We gonna get through the Newsom thing too, real quick. So the Gavin Newsom thing is an interesting thing for us to meditate on as well. With the Gavin Newsom recall in California, a lot of people are seeing that as just an outright victory or a mandate on Trump and Trump era policies. Nah, you dodged the bullet. And the reason why I'm bringing that up after talking about city council, or while we're talking about city council here in Charleston, South Carolina, is because he needed to get a fucking chin check. He needed a heat check. Right. And while I would say the motives for recalling Newsom were, some of it was sketchy. Some of it was like, nah, you out here enjoying fancy dinners, no masks, not modeling what you need to model as an elected official, as the governor of such a powerful and great state. You needed a little bit of a check. You needed that little wake up call. And for those who say, oh, well, he was recalled before, it's not a big deal, he survived the other ones. No. The president had to come in town. Kamala had to come in town. Barack had to cut an ad. That means he was on the ropes. And what does that got to do with this, Tamika? What does that got to do with, it shows you that when the will of the people, whether the motives are in line with my politics or not, there are things in place to put some pressure on some motherfuckers. And that pressure was applied. It wasn't no clear cut. Yeah, it was a landslide because it was bullshit. Because Elder is bullshit. Larry Elders is bullshit. Right? Couldn't put together a cogent campaign if his life depended upon it. Tried to float out that whole, it's already rigged shit, and then he had to walk that back a couple days ago. But but it was a reality check. And so this time for us to start looking at things, and maybe there's something we can study from that situation. I'm not saying we call for bullshit recalls or anything like that. I'm saying that there needs to be a way for us to apply pressure in a way that really gets city council to really understand the power of the people. One way we can do that, y'all, let me get to a lot. Let me just say, I'm going to come back to this again, but I want y'all to go to, let me see if I can make this a little larger. This looks really small. I want y'all, if you live in Charleston County, I want you to go to the county website. I want you to go to the board, Charleston Board of Elections and Voter Registration. And I want you to make sure you check your voter registration status. That's number one. Number two, if you're willing and able, become a poll worker. Okay? There's an online application here. Okay? All right. I want you to also check your polling location, sample ballots and all that. I want you to just get ready for all elections. But more importantly, if you want to become a poll worker, if you're thinking about it, I was a poll worker for a handful of times, presidential elections, the 2016 election, and other subsequent elections after that. All right, James Island, North Charleston, absentee voting precincts. I worked at the call center. Like, go ahead and get involved. This is part of our democracy as well. And I'm gonna come back to this. Shout out to Caitlin Burr who tweeted this out, who shared the tweet from Charleston Votes on Twitter. Go ahead and get involved. I don't know about our it was a serious dodge. I don't know about our recall situation. I don't want to perform the same bullshit that the right is doing. But I do want us to find ways to apply pressure, because what they did last night to us was offensive. All right, I'm gonna close that tab out. Also want to remind you, Stephen Bowden is running against Harry Griffin. And I usually don't like to phrase it that way. I like to say that Stephen Bowden is running for District 10. He's running to become a councilman for District 10. That's currently occupied by a houseplant, okay, with a necktie. I need you to support Stephen Bowden. Save all them clicks and likes and shares in my little reels of me dunking on Harry. Turn that shit into some real political power, right? Go ahead and head to the website. You got BowdenForCharleston.com. Go look at his issues page. He has the issues tab right here up top. He's running on a few things, okay? He's got a few signature issues that he's lifting up. Let me get back here. If he needs you help, he might need help with canvassing. Hit him up. So these are the 3 signature issues he's identified for District 10: flooding, traffic, and good government. Click on good government, and he's talking my language. Let's make this bigger. Stephen Bowden is running to be a councilman for District 10. Good government. The city of Charleston is facing a multi-million-dollar budget shortfall because of the COVID-19 pandemic. District 10 needs a representative who will fight to ensure that the city focuses on common sense solutions to balance the budget and make sure the city's government works for you. Too often, local politicians fight more for themselves than your tax dollars. And then he goes on to say, I will. So these are 3 bullet points from his good government issues tab. He's going to work on trash collection, right? Filling potholes, like infrastructure, right? This is the thing that got me excited. Make developers pay their fair share in order to ease the burden on our residents. I slut shamed. I slut shamed Charleston last night. Didn't mean to. Was reaching for a metaphor and just was fumbling. But where did we settle? Charleston's a sellout city. And this is not Stephen's words. This is my commentary. Please, Stephen, please forgive me for offering this commentary while I'm on your tab. But hear me out. We offer up Charleston to the highest bidder. Charleston is accessible and made available to tourists, to developers, and to other countries so they can build their defense systems and defense drones and whatnot. But when is Charleston going to work for us? When are we going to start having the people that we welcome here? I'm not saying we need to tax tourists that much, but I ain't not saying it. But I'm saying, let's go ahead and tax these developers who are just here to build and flip these properties, who are just here to build sprawling properties that no one asked for, luxury properties that no one asked for, and they're not paying anything. They're not paying nearly enough. In fact, when it's time for places let me get off Stephen's page because I don't want to misrepresent him or his what he stands for. Right? But when it comes to properties like the West Edge development, this is supposed to be a nonprofit, but we know that this was a initiative started by then mayor, but also ambitious developer Joe Riley. Right? He started the Horizon Foundation, which is now West Edge. West Edge over there, the Caroline. Go to the website. You'll see a bunch of pretty white girls, skinny white girls on a rooftop. Enjoying Charleston, enjoying luxury life, and enjoy your luxury. That's cool. But when it came time for West Edge to provide affordable housing, these developers by law are supposed to provide affordable housing. What do they do instead? What did West Edge do? They just paid the fine that they would have incurred, but that it said no, we're not going to build any affordable housing. We'll just pay the penalty. That's what they do. They don't make it mandatory that they provide affordable housing options. The city doesn't make it mandatory that these developers pay their fair share. In fact, West Edge has already started flipping the properties that they just built a handful of years ago. They just made tens and tens of millions of dollars back from their initial investment. They don't even make sure that they have affordable housing units. They said, no, we'll just go ahead and pay the fine. We ain't interested in that. We just here to make a profit and sell it. That's all this is about. So when you have somebody running who says, yo, these developers got to start paying their fair share, I'm gonna take notice. And that's what Stephen Bowden was kicking on his page. So again, I don't want to misrepresent his you helping the campaign, Michelle? Right on. Did you see the poll worker in West Hollywood? No. Yeah, make Charleston, I couldn't agree more. Make Charleston number one place to live instead of the number one place to visit. Hello. Whiskey Knee, you said you enjoy being a poll worker for the presidential election. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I'm not gonna be able to read every comment. Let me go ahead and get into it. It's 7:54. Let's get into some top news. I kind of we gotta talk about where we left off last night. So we gotta go back to city council. I will say this, y'all know I'm tough on Gregory. I'm not tough on Gregory because I don't like him personally. I'm not tough on Gregory because I think he's a delightful man in person, right? I don't like how he votes always. I don't like where he stands on some important issues. But last night, Gregory did his job. We're going to revisit some of his comments that he offered up late, I believe after 10 o'clock p.m. We're going to revisit that. Let's take a look at the local papers. Okay, let me get the tab, the PDF tab. Here we go. I like it like this. All right, so this is the state newspaper, right? Talking about an old 1986 kidnapping. Condolences to that family. Here below that story, you have bipartisan lawmakers want K-12 mask rule repealed to slow COVID. This is the state newspaper, y'all. Richland County, that's another DUI settlement case. All right, here's the Post and Courier. Here's Charleston area news. Here's the front page. Charleston, okay, sweeping mask mandate. We're going to read this by Chloe Johnson. Chloe was live tweeting, doing the Lord's work again. Chloe was live tweeting last night as the virtual meeting was going on. We're going to read this article here. They put JBH on this story here about a pregnant patient with COVID that was near death. If they put JBH on it, you know it's going to be a tearjerker. No comment beyond that. This is the first South Carolina resident convicted in DC riot. The first one. When they gonna get Corey Allen? When they gonna get Tyler Bessinger? I don't know what's going on. Debate over U.S. history lessons set to intensify. I don't even have the bandwidth for that right now. All right, but we definitely going to read this story here penned by Chloe last night, and we're going to visit her Twitter feed and Caitlin Bird's Twitter feed. Caitlin Bird writes for the state newspaper based in Columbia, but they have a Charleston area, they have a commitment to the Charleston area, and Chloe writes for the Post and Courier, which is explicitly the Charleston Low Country area. All right, I want to give a shout out real quick. Let me just go through things I can close out real quick. Shout out to, again, I try not to give people cookies for doing doing basic shit, but to me this was not basic. We heard from Site C last night during the citizens participation period. We heard from Site C. I'm always looking for businesses like Site C who came out during the summer protest 2020, came out talking right. But I've been watching Site C. I need to see you demonstrate a commitment to not just lip service, but to if you're going to come out and denounce the CVB, if you're going to come out and work with Black content creators, I want to also see you in real time denounce these oppressive forces. They've been doing that. They've been demonstrating that. You don't get cookies for doing the right thing, but what you do get is we need to make sure we point it out and recognize it so that other white-led businesses, white-owned businesses can come out and move in similar fashion. And last night, what was offered up, I'm sorry, the young man's name escapes me, but what they offered up during the citizens participation period last night was great, was awesome, was amazing. They said directly, we benefit from Black culture. We benefit from what the Black enslaved populations built here in Charleston. We benefit directly from that. That was one of the assertions. They made a number of illuminating points, but that was one that stuck with me. And then shout out to Queen Cat. Queen Cat, excuse me. Queen Cat. Let me not conflate her with Black MAGA, not at all. Queen Cat and those, I think it was Queen Cat, those who run that page, we'll get to it. They retweeted this blog post. When was this written? This was written in August, right? Site C using their website, using their platform to elevate this issue, right? Beyond lip service, let's go. Still need to see more, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. You feel me? No cookies, but you get an enthusiastic head nod, for real. All right? Oh gosh, yeah, it's a lot to cover. I'm not really interested in the Murdaugh case. When I do a Murdaugh show, it's gonna be from the Black perspective. We're not gonna sit there and center the salaciousness of murder, of privileged white people with an abundance of money and resources and tools to skirt the law. We're not gonna sit there and talk about the murder part of it like everyone's excited about. And I get it, no shade. If you like that murder podcast bullshit, that true crime, I'm interested in other elements, because the Murdaugh family has been causing harm to so many people, not just Black people either, poor people. So many mysterious deaths have happened around the Murdaugh family. So many mysterious deaths. Forget the ones from the matriarch and the young Murdaugh, but you have a boat crash that involved the young Murdaugh. All right, then you had the housekeeper die. Then you had the young man die in the middle of the street. And now they staging some bull. Like, this shit is ridiculous. They are incredibly ghetto. They are incredibly low class trash with a lot of money and a name that rings bells. I'm not impressed. I'm not interested in getting clicks. You can go to fucking Fitz News and that racist ass page if you want to get all that. Get your fix on that. But if I do talk about Murdaugh on this stream, it will be me looking at wrongful convictions, possible wrongful convictions, and how they've impacted Black people and poor people in that county, in that area where they reign supreme. And let me tell you, I went in the archives, went all the way back to the 30s to great granddaddy Murdaugh, and I ain't like what I saw. Okay, so I'm not interested in all that bullshit. But we will get to the other news around Charleston here. Let me just tie up these loose ends. I know I'm running around. I just want to close these tabs out. Let me just tie up this loose end real quick and indulge me for a second. I got you. Yeah, I got you in the chat. I see you. So yesterday I talked about how some of the some of the theories around who's funding the left. Are there influences? Is there dark money funding the left? In terms of movement spaces, Black Lives Matter, like the big Black Lives Matter, not the movement for Black Lives, but the big Black Lives Matter, I'm gonna call them Inc. All right, the branded shit, right? All right, never been affiliated, right? But big Black Lives Matter. and other similar organizations are well funded by the left. And I tried to reference 2 articles that I didn't have at my disposal at my fingertips yesterday. I want to invite you to go find this article from 2014, right? The sons and daughters of donors also rise. This is from Politico. It talks about the Milliken family. Let me scroll down. And if you're from South Carolina, you're probably familiar with the Milliken family, right? It's going to talk about this group right here. I want y'all to put a pin in this. Put a pin in this. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I just scrolled up. Right here. Let me highlight it. Democracy Alliance, capital D, capital A. Do your Googles. Do your Googles. This is they like to move in secret. They like to have these secret calls, raise a lot of money. We talking millions and billions, right? Right? Justin, do your Googles. Okay? Democracy Alliance. You see Soros' name in here. It's not conspiracy theories, y'all. This is how the left is funded. A lot of stuff is not movement work. A lot of stuff is not grassroots that you see. If you got Ariana Grande retweeting you, I'm sorry, that was a concerted effort. Right? If you got these certain industries and these celebrities retweeting black-led groups and whatnot, best believe this is an effort, right? Again, we talking it's International Democracy Day. This ain't democratic, baby. These is dollars. Don't confuse dollars with democracy. Weston Milliken, one of the sons of South Carolina textile billionaire Roger Milliken, who funded the American Spectator magazine in the 90s, right? Right? Is a member of Democracy Alliance. Okay? That's what I was talking about yesterday, Justin. All right, so that's one. Again, Politico from 2014. 2014. Do your Googles on that. Do your Googles on the Old Dominion family. The young heirs of the Old Dominion family. They pledge... I'm about to get in trouble. They pledged $10 million to Cypress Fund over 5 years. Old Dominion Trucking, y'all know the logo, y'all. If y'all ever took a road trip and saw them trucks. Another article you need to go ahead and Google. We're just tying up some loose ends from yesterday. We're gonna get back into democracy, okay? We're gonna get back into local democracy, right? We're tying up loose ends from yesterday. I had this in my phone. I didn't have it at my fingertips yesterday. All right. So this is another one. This is from Salon. All right. This is from 2012. All right. I was on a call with the Milliken ball too. Right? Here come my Philly coming out. With the Milliken dude. I was on a Democracy Alliance-esque call. I was also, let me make this small. Let me make this small so you can see old girl face a little bit. I think her face does show. I don't know why it looks like that. Open image in a new tab. Why is it cut off? So it's one. So yeah, this is the image. All right, that's the image. Because I got it so large. Okay, Occupy Heiress. This is from 2012. I was on the phone with this chick. All right. Funding movement. She was very, very interested. Very, very interested. This is, what's her name? Leah Hunt Hendricks. This oil money. So 2012, she was 28. Yeah, Texas Oil. Yeah, a granddaughter of late Texas billionaire, Texas oil tycoon H.L. Hunt, right? She grew up surrounded by the 1% privilege. She was very interested in Jamie Harrison's race. Very interested. And you got to think back to Tom Steyer as well. Like, what was he designed to do? Was he just, why did he have such a very laser-like focus on the black community, right? You could tell by the operatives that he hired, no shade to some of them, but a lot of them was just not top tier at all. Not top tier operatives that he hired. He hired anybody off the street. And he was in the hood. He was in the gas and green projects. He was all up and through Columbia in the hood, right? Recruiting just black bodies, bringing out Juvenile when he was doing one of his campaign events, and what did he do? He injured Bernie a lot because Bernie did really well with black men specifically, but black voting base here in South Carolina during the primary. He injured Bernie a lot. So you have to think about what money was behind that. Again, it's International Democracy Day, y'all. Dollars ain't democracy, but in this country, dollars act like they vote. and you just got to, not related to resource generation, but some of the people in resource generation run in the same circles, right? Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Me and Justin's probably the only ones interested in that, but I'm gonna leave it there because I'm sure I'm really alienating myself right now. Let's get to some video clips so I can take a break from talking real quick. Let me see. Why doesn't I don't understand why WCBD don't have. They gotta have it. I think I saw it. Hold on. Let's go to WCBD real quick. This is the bullshit. You got the Alex Murdaugh case up here, but you don't have that's why we're gonna go to Live 5. All right, here we go. See if we can find it. This is getting frustrating because I need the city ordinance was important. The vote last night was important. I don't think this is a video. So if it's not a video, we're gonna go ahead and just read the reporting. That's cornballs. That's corny. All right, let's get to Caitlin Bird's story first. This is from the state. And then we're going to get to the video of city council because, yeah, I know it went late for people, so maybe some news outlets couldn't cover it. They should have. All right. So with more than 1,000 Charleston area students already in quarantine for COVID-19, South Carolina's largest city decided it's time to require face masks inside public and private schools and daycare. The city council's 10-3 vote Tuesday night came after a similar effort failed last month during a lengthy and raucous meeting. Period. It also comes as the state finds itself in the middle of one of the worst surges of COVID-19, with one healthcare official calling masking critical to helping reduce the burden on local hospitals. The medical official spoke last night. After I logged off, I went back on and listened to the science. Then you had Sheely pop in there with some nonsense about he over there looking at the county board of ed page stats, and you literally talking to a doctor, a healthcare professional, but you pulling up shit from the school district's website as if that works in real time. Thanks to y'all told me how whack those tools are and how they're not updated regularly. You literally hustling backwards. What's up, Chris? You said you said I know a lot, lots of good folks in resource generation. Okay, would love to hear more about your perspective, to understand. Oh, okay. I mean, I know a lot of great folks in resource generation, but my whole point of bringing up resource generation and other wealthy millennials is that there's also other influences there, and there's in the way that folks with wealth work. Now, of course, my experience with resource generation is I got a personal friend with resource generation that I adore because I see her walk the walk, right? But of course, my experience, I'm in full transparency, Chris Tittle, like my experience is, being let go unceremoniously and no one really stepping in from resource generation to help give me clarity on like my dismissal and the dissolution of my job, right? So I'm working with a fund with two members of a fund founded by 3 people. 2 of them are resource generation people. None of them came to me in the spirit of justice, in the spirit of equity, to say, hey, Mika, this is what's going to happen to you, right? After I dealt with a lot of other stuff that I will never, ever disclose on this live stream. So that's I got mixed feelings about resource generation because throwing dollars at a situation ain't enough. Joining your local surge is not enough, right? Right, that's my feeling on that. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Shout out to your mom. Tell your mom I said what's up. Tell Pam I said what's up, Chris. Let's get back to this mask mandate. Right at the beginning of the article points out government's belated reactive nature, no strong leadership. Shout out El Kuj for that comment right there. Right. I want to hop over to Chloe Johnson from the Post and Courier. her live tweeting last night. It's a lot. But we're gonna jump into just for expedience. Y'all know I usually go through the library page to access these articles, but for expedience sake and because it's displayed large enough for me to read from the smallest screen, I'm gonna click on postandcurry.com. All right, this is from Chloe Johnson, y'all. Charleston City Council has passed initial approval of masking mandate that applies to people in a broad swath of businesses and other settings across the city. Before the September 14th vote, Jeff DeLisi, I hope I said that right, President and Chief Executive Officer of Roper St. Francis, said the Delta variant of COVID-19 has pushed healthcare workers to the brink as critically ill, mostly unvaccinated patients swamp the hospital system. All right. Shout out also to Councilman Mitchell, who also used personal stories from his constituency to illustrate how grave the problem is. I thought that was effective. The stress on our system and other systems in the Low Country, it's pretty incredible. I believe that's a quote from last night. The city's measure includes careful legal language, however, so as not to run afoul of a state budget proviso that bars schools from using state money for masking rules. Schools and daycares are included in Charleston's rules with special conditions to follow the state law. Marie Del Chapo has some very uninteresting comments around that whole schools place that just shows you where she stands, especially representing Daniel Island. Very, very, very afraid of overreaching the schools and daycares. Calm it down. Are you clutching pearls? Are you clutching pearls, Del Chapo, with these kids that are in the ICU right now, intubated? Are you clutching pearls with that? Don't tell me don't give me no right wing Fox News jargon. Tell me what your constituents are telling me what people in Charleston, what the healthcare workers are saying. Tell me that. Tell me about the families. Tell me what they're saying. The families whose kids had this near miss with COVID. Or someone who was denied care, access to care, because the ICUs and these medical systems are overrun with COVID-19 unvaccinated cases. Right? Y'all, if y'all don't learn anything, please interrogate all power. Please interrogate all influence. Interrogate my influence. And if I become influential enough to where you need to check a bitch, interrogate power. Interrogate all power, even the people you like. You have to. It can't just, I like them, so I'm gonna just put it on, be on cruise control. You got to interrogate power. You got to. All right, here are the several exceptions from the man. Okay, let me read this one paragraph right here, right? Because they're gonna follow state law. I don't even know why she was clutching her pearls. The ordinance requires everyone older than 2 to wear a face covering when in any public accessible buildings in the city, regardless of whether they are vaccinated. Settings where masks are required include salons, barbershops, restaurants, pharmacies, groceries, offices where workers cannot distance, and on public transportation, including tours. I just left NYC. Y'all already know what time it is up there. On the subway, masked up. It's hot underground. I would say 7 out of 10 people masked up, right? All right. Okay, let me scroll down and let's read the exceptions here. All right. There are several exceptions. Some of them include people do not need to mask when smoking, drinking, or eating. Duh, right? Because I'm only saying duh, not because not to Chloe, but to some of the people that raised objections, some of the council people that raised objections, and some of the people that called in last night to offer comment was like, "You all weren't wearing your mask properly. You touched your mask several times. Chill out. We're humans. We're trying to follow the law." Of course, there are times where you have to move your mask or remove your mask, and drinking, smoking, and eating are some of those instances. All right, restaurant and bar visitors do not need to mask when seated 6 feet apart. All right. Somebody call Butcher and B, let them know. People doing physical exercise, so you at a gym, including swimming. I can't believe this is in print. Including swimming. Do not need to mask. People with a medical impediment or religious objection do not need to mask. And what the mayor said, and we saw this when the first round of mask ordinances went into place. Ain't nobody out. Well, they said they were out there enforcing it, but I ain't see that much enforcement. They damn sure wasn't enforcing them long lines outside of Mint, or down there outside the whatever Name a fancy restaurant. I didn't see no ticket writing, but the mayor communicated that last night that there will be no like this huge effort to enforce this, right? So ain't nobody out here, because Harry said that, like, ain't nobody out here writing no 5-year-old in the ticket, right? Ain't nobody out here ticketing 5-year-olds, right? So let's not get cute. Some people who want to, like, if you want to form an opposing opinion about the legislation, let's not be cute. The measure passed 10-3. Councilman Harry Griffin, Carl Brady, and Kevin Shealy opposed it. Let me read that again. The measure passed 10-3. Councilman Harry Griffin, Carl Brady. What do those two have in common? Drop it in the chat if you could tell me what Harry Griffin and Carl Brady have in common. Drop it in the chat if you know. Let's see if you've been following. Okay. Councilman Harry Griffin, Carl Brady, and Kevin Shealy were opposing it. Shealy was really opposing it from rip with his little, the dude don't even talk unless it's, only time that dude likes to make a statement is when he want to put a plantation as his background image on Zoom. That dude don't even talk, right? This is the other part. It would expire in 60 days from that third vote. I skipped a whole bunch. My bad. All right. The ordinance is not an emergency measure. Let me repeat that because Harry tried to act like it was. The ordinance is not an emergency measure and will require 2 more votes by the panel before it takes effect. That could happen at the fastest within a week. City Council can take a second vote on a city ordinance as soon as 6 days after the first and can take the third vote at the same time as the second. Golly. Democracy. No, not bow ties. Oh, Meg, I expected more. No, I'm joking. Not bow ties. Let me give you a hint. Yeah, I'm messy. Don't do it then. Let me get back to the story. Boom, boom. That's your hint. All right. It would expire 60 days from that third vote. Violating the ordinance would carry penalties of up to $100 for the first offense, $200 for the second, and second offense, and $500 for the third offense. Okay. All right. In public and private schools and daycares, only a fine up to $100 applies. If children deliberately break the rule, their children can be warned or fined in their place. That point was particularly controversial. I think this is when Del Chapo got a little vocal. Yep, I see it right there. All right. That point was particularly controversial for some council members during the meeting, and Mayor John Tecklenburg said some components of the measure could be revised in the final vote. Yeah, work on it. All right, Councilwoman Marie hand-wringing Del Chapo, who represents part of the city that's in Berkeley County. Ain't that a fucking thing? That's crazy. Talk about just manufactured districts. God damn. Del Chapo, who represents parts of Berkeley County, so you already know what time it is with that, also urged that the schools there were in a district that was not pursuing its own mask mandate. She's talking about Berkeley County because we learned yesterday that Charleston County is moving forward with a mask mandate, right? No thanks to Cindy Coates, right? All right. An issue that might need to be clarified in future versions of the city's rule, right? All right. Let's hop over to last night's meeting. I really wanted to pick off. I wanted to pick up there around the commission, but we'll get to the commission on equity. It's a shame that we couldn't even really engage with that issue thoughtfully. I wanted to get to when the doctor started talking, when the healthcare professional started offering information regarding to help inform the policies. No, that's still the Army Corps of Engineers.
For just devastating impacts to
that bogus seawall.
COVID is not done with us yet. The numbers have continued to rise in this state. Hospitalizations are
it's okay, Meg.
Critical.
Shout out El
we'll
Kujay.
Hear from in just a minute.
Joni, you got it.
Jeff DeLisi with Roper St. Francis, and most sadly,
Katie, you have my condolences.
Are at a alarming rate throughout the state of South
Justin,
Carolina.
we all good.
Very briefly, Shannon Scaff, you want to give us an update on what's going on in the city, and then I'll call on Jeff DeLisi. Shannon?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'll just rattle off some numbers to you real quick. The incident management team is standing by if we choose to activate, but confirmed cases 3,552. Confirmed
Corona
deaths 35. Probable deaths at number 8, with a percent positive of 12 point.
I don't know how you can hear these numbers and just kind of think that, okay, all right, you know, and then, okay, as an elected official, I would imagine feeling an obligation, a sense of duty to really help stem this, to really help do our part to bring this pandemic under control. You can't listen to these stats and not like just feel uneasy.
9. MUSC reports 89 cases per day per 100,000 Charleston County residents as of 12 September. 22 reported probable and confirmed deaths among Charleston County
Probably is
residents
playing
in the
Candy
last
Crush.
week, according to DHEC. The 7-day average of cases in the Low Country as of 9/11 is 249.7.
Damn.
The 2-week cumulative incidence rate is 1,078 per 100,000 in Charleston County. 58.6 of eligible South Carolina residents have received at least one vaccine. 58.6, at least one vaccine. 49.7 of eligible South Carolina residents have completed the vaccination. That's according to DHEC.
Okay, so look, that was compelling to me, right? I want to get to this, the gentleman, the healthcare administrator.
He is the president and CEO of Roper St. Francis. Jeff, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, and thanks to the City Council for having me tonight. Yeah, I wish there were different reasons that I was here talking to you in the City Council today, but unfortunately, as you said, we are in our third and I think the most dramatic surge in COVID-19 patients. At Roper St. Francis Healthcare, we have seen higher numbers over the last couple of weeks than we have seen in any of the other 2 surges. COVID-19 patients make up 41% of every patient in our hospitals right now.
41%, almost half of the patients. I don't know how you can listen to this and then come with this bad faith argument about some stats you read off the Charleston County school board website. Like, you literally have the healthcare professional from Roper right here, and Shealy comes with some bullshit stats that somebody handed him, probably 45 minutes before tonight's meetings. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Right now, it's again, we're going on 3 weeks in a row of record numbers. And, I think we've tried to get this message out of there, but 85 to 90% of those patients hospitalized are unvaccinated. So we're stretched thin. I just wrote a letter to the Post and Courier that you'll all see probably tomorrow morning. I think it's online now, but we've had to delay some surgeries. Obviously, we're doing everything emergent and urgent, but we backed up surgeries a little bit to be able to take care of all these COVID patients. When I go out to the front lines and visit our healthcare workers, they're tired, both physically and mentally exhausted.
So let's say you have your political feelings about the vaccine. Let's say you believe there's a microchip in there. Let's say you believe that it's a hoax and all that other stuff, right? Let's just say that you really believe in what Trump said, even though everybody in his administration were the first ones to get vaccinated. When you hear your local healthcare administrators tell you that their staff is exhausted, how can your response be, let me try out my own research? We all got Google, fam. I ain't relying on Google to help me navigate this pandemic. I'm going to rely on the science, the scientists, starting from Fauci all the way down to someone like Jeffrey here, right? And I want to just, he says a lot of great things, makes a hell of a compelling argument to help inform this policy. But I want to get to Shealy's lackluster response. Let me see if I can see his Hollywood Square light up. Here we go. Might as
that I think should be discussed if possible. Or do we have anybody from MUSC to talk on that?
What numbers are you referring? I mean, I'm happy
Oh.
to comment on the numbers, but what
So
kind?
this is he tried out some stat, and you done had, was it Dr. Sweat was up there? How many times was Dr. Sweat up there?
Council may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. DeLisi?
Here we go.
Councilmember Shealy? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Dr. DeLisi. Appreciate your time and being here.
Do you?
I know on our last, or one of our special meetings, I think it was August 11th, Dr. Sweat talked to us about the Delta variant. And he talked to us a little bit specifically on their epidemiology website and some of the numbers there. Is there any, can you talk on that? Do you have anything on that? Because there's some interesting numbers that I'm seeing.
So he's trying to use stats that pretty much conform with his thought process, or that are more in line with what he's trying to argue. He found stats. He thinks, and I think he's reading the stats, not, I don't want to say the word wrong, but he's cherry picking parts of the stats that fit the narrative that he's trying to float, right? To help inform his vote, his no vote. But why, to me, why would you bring up MUSC stats or another presentation? Like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, Dr. Sweat was on, he showed us some stats that measured XYZ. Do you have any comparable numbers that you would care to share with us? Now, mind you, you just had the emergency management dude hop on and give you the infection rates and rattle off infection rates, rattle off all the statistics, but yet you still need more graphs and more stats. Talk about bureaucratic bullshit. You done had Dr. Sweat on multiple, from what I remember, multiple city council convenings. Dr. Sweat has participated and offered up research. Now you've got Jeffrey DeLisi here giving you numbers, and you had emergency management give you stats from DHEC. I don't know, and from MUSC and from other places. I don't know how much more you want. Like, what more do you want? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Just vote no and sit the fuck back.
On there that
confirmation
I think should
bias.
be discussed if possible. Or do we have anybody from MUSC to talk on that?
What numbers are
Right,
you referring? I mean, I'm happy
L2J.
to comment on the numbers, but what kind of rate or numbers are you referring to?
Well, Dr. Sweat had told us in our meeting on August 11th that this he was teaching us a little bit about this Delta variant. He showed charts from, I think it was the UK, India, and Springfield, Missouri, I believe. But he said these curves are steep on the Delta variant. They climb real fast and then they drop off very quickly. And he also let us know that hospitalizations were down with the Delta variant compared to the Alpha variant. And when I look on that website, I see that the Delta variant has gone up steeply and the numbers have dropped off quickly. And this is on the MUSC. I'm looking at it right now on my screen. Okay. And it is showing those numbers dropping very, very quickly on that website.
Yeah, we don't even have a problem anymore.
He talked about the RT number, the reproduction number. And he said,
this is like listening to me talk about the game of cricket, the sport of cricket, or international football. Like, this is how I sound. Well, he really did pitch the thing from the mound. I don't know shit about cricket. I don't know shit about soccer. Like, the serious note, because we don't talk about democracy today. If you ever felt like you couldn't run for office because you felt like that it requires, if you felt like Saccharin, Brady, I'm just naming all of them, Jackson, Del Chapo, if you have them on a pedestal, take them the fuck off that pedestal. They're regular folks. And you're hearing regular folks with an agenda, but you're hearing regular folks try to navigate something like complicated science. And I'm not saying you shouldn't pour over data and statistics, and you shouldn't make I'm not saying that. I'm not intimating that you should not take the research and all of the data and not think about it, not deliberate with your family, your community. I'm not saying that. I'm actually happy that Sheely is using data before he votes. We know that, again, he has an agenda though, right? Mr. Plantation in the background of my, of my picture sometimes, right? I don't care if it's his neighborhood or not. That was deliberate. We know that he has an agenda. So, but if you ever have him up on a pedestal, I want you to listen to how he's trying to like wrap his mind around, trying to create an argument why he's going to vote no against keeping our citizens safe, keeping our residents here safe, the people who actually live here, people who actually work here, people who actually have to be here. I gotta take my mama to the Firestone across the street from the Coburg Cow, right? We gotta live here, right? My mama used to have this summer when she had to get her car fixed. I would come out and say, Mom, let me just come pick you up. You come over my spot. We chill over here, or we go shopping or something. She out there sitting in the hot ass heat outside because she's scared to catch the Delta variant, or scared to catch COVID-19. Right? She lives here. She spends her time here. She goes to church here. That's the reality. My black parents, my black mother, my black father, being disproportionately exposed to COVID or at risk from having more effects from COVID. Like, that's the reality. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent, but you feel what I'm saying? Like, it pisses me off because this ordinance helps people who live here. And it's not even like it's not 6 months. It's not even a long ass ordinance. You can't stand by wearing a mask for fucking what, 60 days? Come on.
That number is above one,
don't put them on no
then we've
pedestal.
got cases growing. If it's below one, then we're not in a growth.
I used to too,
situation.
Michelle.
I look at this thing probably every 2 or 3 days at least,
sometimes
every day.
Oh, wow.
And we've been below that 1.0 number that he's talking about. It just happens that it's at 1.02. So it did tick up just a little bit, but it's at that one number that he said, if it's above, then we're in growth. If it's not, but if you look at that chart, those numbers are coming way down.
Why didn't you ask permission to share your screen? Why didn't you share your screen?
Week or two.
I bet you just.
Well, and hospitalizations are going to trail that by a couple of weeks. So we've seen a slight decrease in the number of positive cases. I would certainly not call it steep, and nor
thank you.
What I would call the rise in hospitalizations. It really, I had heard that too. It was a steep up.
Let me tell you something. This is also a lesson in stay in your motherfucking lane. If I'm out there giving y'all finance advice, please check my shit. Okay? Say, Meek, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm out here talking about, I don't know, the best car to buy, the safest car to buy, for people with children and who gonna have cars. Like, Meek, stay in your fucking lane. Sheely, stay in your lane.
And steep down, but I'll tell you, I went. I remember this because I went away on.
He do look like he's in the office.
For vacation with my family for a week, and our numbers were in the 20s. At the beginning of July, it was less than 10. By the end of July, it was 20s, and it's gone up ever since then.
Okay, that chart's showing a decline since.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's hard to tell.
Oh my God, Dr. Sheely, you're needed in the emergency room
for the last
Please
week
go.
or two. That it's very steep decline
since about August 25th.
Yeah, that's probably about right, Councilman.
We've seen record numbers in our hospital. Especially last week was as high as it's ever been. I think even Monday, I think we even set our new record of positive patients in our hospital. So,
okay.
I assure you, we're not admitting anybody that doesn't need to be admitted.
Right? Like
I got you.
You calling him a liar?
I mean, this chart's also showing the number of cases. Now, this is coming from Charleston County Schools website.
Wait till you see the charts, Sheely. Wait till you see the charts after the bridge run. Oh shit! Wait till you see the charts after the bridge run, dude. We just came out of Labor Day, dude. What Helen Hill say? 9%. They're ahead of the 2019, where they were in 2019 with beds and with heads in beds. They're ahead 9% uptick, almost a 10% increase from where they were in 2019. Wait till you see that uptick, bruh.
with a number.
Oh, second Sunday, Katie. Absolutely. Right? He stayed at a Holiday Inn Express exact. Y'all are, you, Whiskey Neat, and Jessica, right? Captain America. I was trying to work on a Macho Man Randy Savage reference for Harry, but I just couldn't do it. I'm still, it's not all, I wasn't in rare form last night. I called Charleston a whore several times. I wasn't in rare form last night. I'm still I'm workshopping the joke. But yeah, this dude, like, I'm really seeing, I don't know, Dr. So-and-so. And I would love to see the charts. It's probably like his child's like crayon pictures of drawing like a bar graph. I don't know, but my science over here, I don't know.
Cases dropping pretty substantially for Charleston County schools.
We ain't got nothing to worry about. It's over.
Of eligible people, so of 12-year-olds and above, immunity in the Charleston area being 83% on this website. Now it does say for all of them, it would be about 68%. Now that's not
drop a link in the chat, bro.
Numbers, but that's total immunity.
Why didn't he just drop the link in the chat so he could click on it and say, oh, no, this is bullshit.
The numbers that I'm seeing and I've been looking
You're reading it wrong. It's not bullshit. He probably reading it wrong.
It kind of tells a little bit of a different story with that, the numbers coming down so quick.
All right, that's encouraging me to talk about a little bit of a different story. Let's talk about a little bit of a different story. Let's talk about a little bit of a different story. Let's see what stories are being told in Charleston regarding the COVID-19. And we're going to fast forward because I ain't got time. This is from the Sunday paper. This is the Sunday paper. To say we're exhausted is an understatement. Okay? Written by Avery Wilkes, one of the best reporters you're going to get at the Post and Courier. Oh. Right? They went to Columbia first. Columbia microbiologist John Bonaparte can count on one hand the days he's taken off from work since South Carolina recorded its first cases of the coronavirus in March 2020. One of his co-workers in the state's public health laboratory, Kendra Rimbold, has missed 3 seasons of her child's soccer games while pulling 12-hour shifts to keep up with the state's unprecedented demand for COVID-19 testing. And one of their supervisors in the department at DHEC, cramped lab in Columbia, Christy Greenwood, decided she couldn't adequately juggle the demands of the pandemic and her responsibilities as a single parent. So she took her 5 and 7-year-old children to stay with their grandparents at their grandmother's house until things calmed down at work. More than 550 days since the coronavirus took hold in South Carolina, that respite still hasn't come for hundreds of public health workers who toil in the background of the state's response. Instead, they say COVID-19 has proven to be an unending nightmare. I'm going to stop it right there. I don't know. My research. OAN. Newsmax. I don't know. My research. My cousin Joey. Sound like Nicki Minaj. I bet. I don't know. So they voted 10-3. We get it, right? Let me go back to Twitter real quick and just try to get caught up on, go back and visit Chloe's thread from last night, right? So this was I think this is part of a larger thread. Yeah. Let me go back real quick and hit thread. All right. Let's go up. Hit. All right. So she started tonight. Charleston considers a broad mask mandate in public hearings across the city, including shops, salons, yada, yada. We already read that, right? So this makes it plain. This is why I like her tweeting in real time. This ordinance will take 3 reads or votes before taking effect. That could happen within a week at the absolute fastest. And she said she'll be tweeting the meetings, okay? After going over on a prior committee meeting, that was the Ways and Means, all right, for an hour and 20 minutes, went over an hour and 20 minutes. We're waiting for the feed for the actual city council meeting. She tweeted when it happened. All right, we are finally in public comment. 58 speakers. Mayor Tecklenburg said, but we knew it was more than that, right? Right? And then he sprung on us. Didn't tell us ahead of time. Mayor Tecklenburg says that we only have 30 minutes for public comment. That was the other shitty part. We only had 30 minutes for public comments at 30 seconds apiece. He's cautioning speakers to be respectful. Speakers are getting cut off at 30 seconds. I flub. Y'all saw me fumble. First was Mikagadsden, who had trouble getting connected, then got cut off. Speaking in support of racial conciliation report. No mass speakers as of yet. All right. Several speakers supporting the report in the commission to enact recommendations, but no mass speakers yet. One mass speaker, she's doing this in real time. This was important. One mass speaker opposing the ordinance. All right. We are all going lightning fast. Most folks may have left the line or don't seem to be unmuting themselves quickly enough. Exactly what happened, remember? And she didn't, the city clerk, Jennifer Cook, lovely woman. I'm not impugning her integrity, but she should have restated, hit *6. I lost track of what was going on. I was a little flustered. She didn't repeat, hit *6 to unmute yourself. And I honestly believe that was intention, like whatever happens kind of thing, right? All right. And then she talks about several speakers on the commission, but no mask yet. One mask, lots of problems on the line. One previous speaker, let me hit like on that. One previous speaker seemed to be unmuted briefly and said it's impossible to talk that fast. I heard her. I know y'all heard her too. Barely getting the comments out of the folks in 30 seconds via phone. That's a shame. It's shameful. Almost every phone speaker was talking about the racial. Say it again. Almost every phone speaker was talking about the Racial Conciliation Commission that council is considering whether to make permanent tonight. 10 writers in were anti-mask mandate, 7 in favor. Okay. A few people who didn't sign up in time tried to bust in the phone line at the last second because you could do that. They didn't secure the phone line. Right. So shout out to Chloe. She was doing it. And she talks about this whole whatever, right? This is the gem from Harry Griffin. All right, we are on the ordinance. And we're going to get to the commission in a second, y'all. We're going to get to that part. We are on the ordinance. Harry Griffin comments, this thing stinks. I'm not convinced that Harry Griffin isn't 2 to 3 adolescent children in a suit sitting on each other's shoulders. I'm not convinced that Harry Griffin is not really just 3 adolescent children sitting on top of each other's shoulders in a suit. I'm not convinced. This thing stinks. He is extremely opposed. A caller just disrupted him briefly. Said the doctor said the people are dying. Somebody did cut in and say that. Shout out to you. Not all heroes wear capes. Let's fast forward a little bit to hear from Harry. Because honestly, Jeffrey told Shealy everything he needed to know. So did the emergency management dude. But they just want to say stuck on stuck. Right? Here come Harry. Play the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme music whenever he speaks in your head.
Emergency ordinance. It does. My opinion doesn't really change. This thing stinks.
I got you, B-Man.
I've never seen an ordinance like this. Number one, it looks like it was just a bunch of copy and paste put together.
What?
It looks like it is
like your apology that you faxed.
Our city is
that you faxed into the
throwing
paper.
A temper tantrum because we didn't get what we wanted when we decided to jump on to the Columbia lawsuit against the Attorney General, and we didn't get our way with that. So we're going to try to put that into an ordinance to punish our
people
citizens.
Are dying.
But I think probably the most disgraceful thing in all of this
disgraceful
is, there actually is language in here that any person, so that would be, in this case, would be an adult or a child, that is found to not be wearing a mask can be fined $100, $200, and $500. Mr. Mayor, I want to see you go write that first ticket to a 5-year-old who's not wearing.
He always trying to go ahead.
I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. You've gotten everything you've wanted.
One thing I will give to Mayor Tecklenburg is he is thoroughly unbothered by that imbecile. Thoroughly unbothered by Harry Griffin.
Got the encouragement piece in the resolution.
Over a damn mask.
We had a meeting a couple of weeks ago where we didn't take action. And since then, the numbers have continued to drop.
No, they didn't.
Go look on DHEC's website.
No, they didn't.
Look at the number. Look at the graph.
I'm sorry. The doctor said people are dying.
Somebody broke in.
Pardon me, sir.
We can't even conduct a normal meeting because we have people that chime in all of the time. I mean, we're the laughing stock sometimes.
You are the laughing stock now.
We can't even conduct a meeting. I can't even get my point across.
Dude, just shut up. It was a fucking mishap. It was what, a half a second. Now you like this white male grievance bullshit is getting tired. This white male grievance shtick is exhausting.
As a council person, because we've got people that are always chiming in. We should be in meeting in
I don't
person.
know if
we just said at our last meeting that we were going to do that.
Michelle, if you go back to when I offered my comment, you remember how they skipped over me? I just hit pound when I found out when y'all were tweeting, y'all were telling me what to do. I hit #6 and I spoke over that guy, and I kept doing it on purpose because I'm on the phone. I could hear myself competing with another voice that they had skipped to. So I think that #6 anyone could have hit. You didn't have to wait for your name to be called. Is my point. Like that they didn't have. I don't know what they're doing, but they don't have a secure call-in type of thing going on. It's almost like anyone can unmute. It could be after they entered you in, after they acknowledge your call and accept you when you call into the system. It feels like they can't mute or didn't mute you once you gave your comment or didn't take you from the call, right? What up, Paul? Let me fast forward because he just wham. Let me see.
And then all of a sudden, here we are over Zoom again because you're scared, Mr. Mayor, to meet in person. That's my thought process. That's what I believe, because I called up to City Hall and supposedly we're going to have a meeting on the 28th at City Hall.
Oh, really? Interesting.
After we all talked about how we weren't going to go back to City Hall because it wasn't a good space to meet. So we are not doing things right with the city. We're not.
Okay. Yeah, like having the Proud Boys come and being on their flyer. Carl Brady said something unimpressive with his AirPods. I want to get to the commission because I'm tired. Seekin said the right thing. I mean, you saw the vote. I'm surprised Del Chapo didn't vote against it. It was Brady, Griffin, and Shealy. Want to get to that other issue. I don't know who put a Duracell in Gregory's back. I don't know who gave him a complete nutritious breakfast yesterday morning. Y'all, but baby, Gregory was on one. Back and forth. Robert's rules. Wearing me out. Did I skip it? Let me see.
And by that I mean a bunch of lies.
Okay, here we go. Harry Griffin spoke out against the commission. It's worth hearing.
A motion on the floor to defer.
They deferred like an item number 4. Mm-hmm. Hey, Honor Marks. Completely.
I don't hear a second.
Move for approval.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second to approve?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor. I move for approval.
Motion to approve in a second. Any comments, questions, or discussion on second reading of number 4? Councilmember Griffin.
I just want to reiterate what I said last time, which was I wanted to support this commission.
No, you didn't. You liar. No, you didn't.
Full commission. But one thing I said was if it was going to mention critical race theory, if it was going to mention defund the police, if it was going to mention reparations, then there's no way that I can support it. And I haven't changed on that. I thought that the commission and our administration would come back with,
less black stuff. All right, there's no need for you to hear any more than that. Gregory is way more interesting. Let me make sure I go back to the tippy top. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to.
Don't support, and we should not continue to push them, knowing that
he's saying that the city does not support this commission, but that's not what I heard. That's not what I heard him call.
Councilmember Gregory.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Folks have been stirring
The
the
pot
pot
with the wrong ingredients.
with the wrong ingredients.
That-
And by that I mean a bunch of lies.
Come on. Come on.
In all due respect, Councilman Griffin,
He don't need no respect.
the recommendations are considerations.
Considerations, y'all. We
They're
talk
not.
laws.
If they come before committees and committees say no, it'll never make it to council. These are recommendations for consideration. And I'd like to also address that there are some
I know, right,
recommendations where
Jessica?
the city does not have jurisdiction.
Right.
State, county, or even the school board.
Right.
But I think that we would be remiss as a commission.
Now, Gregory makes some parallels. Now, I know I'm one to make to draw some sloppy comparisons. I know sometimes I can get a little out there. Again, I called Charleston a whore several times last night, and that was not effective or really not cool, right? But I think some of the comparisons kind of need a little bit more work. But I'm hearing him, and I'm just prepping y'all. I hear the spirit of what he was trying to convey, and it's the truth. I think Black atrocity, Black trauma, and the realities of how Black exploited labor, Black torture of Black folk, separation of family, rape, kidnapping of Black bodies from the continent of Africa, how that has built tremendous white wealth here, and how this city specifically, given its role in the transatlantic slave trade and this country as a whole, are just unwilling to confront that really fucked up past and call it what it is, and to try to they don't make an effort at repairing it. This commission is merely just diagnosing an issue. It's merely giving context, giving you more evidence, giving you more of an illustrative, I guess, a presentation of what the issues are from an informed perspective. We've got PhDs and doctors and engineers chairing these subcommittees, offering up an expert analysis, relying upon volunteers like myself, like Marcus McDonald, like countless others, relying upon the expertise of folks who deal with this issue in real time, deal with these issues around race and equity in real time. Right? Like to continue to diminish, and I'm saying a lot of things, but one thing I wanted to say when I had my comments prepared, y'all, and I really hope that y'all hear me. What up, Noah? I really hope that y'all hear me. They set this commission up to deal with this type of bureaucratic back and forth. What I wrote down to say last night, and I got flustered and I couldn't hit *6 to save my life. What I wrote down was that, when that guy pulled up, that guy, real quick, and I'm gonna get back to Gregory's comments, right? But when on September 26th of 2020, when two men pulled up across from a BLM protest at Marion Square, with AR-15s, ammunition, and pepper spray in their truck to intimidate those protesters, it didn't prompt that emergency session that we saw on July 29th, right? That emergency session on Thursday while I'm in the airport getting on the plane to go to Newark, New Jersey. You remember that when I was telling y'all please call city council, please trying to chime in, please. And they remember how they didn't let you give public comment then? Democracy, y'all, making it inaccessible. So they cracked down on your First Amendment rights with a special session. But it wasn't that guy pulling up in the truck that prompted it. It wasn't the Proud Boys in December of 2020 that came in armored vehicles and carrying. It wasn't the Lightfoot militia on the Battery on July 2020. Remember, I live streamed there from Instagram, right? None of those prompted Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds to come up there and talk about, the guns at the protest, the guns at the protest. It was a licensed protester, a protester who was licensed to carry, who had his firearm in his backpack, didn't have it out, wasn't brandishing shit, That's what prompted a special session with no community input. So you protected the police. You protected Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds. You protected and you made sure that he could get his lies across. Talking about people spit. I still don't believe that anyone spit on his police force. I still don't believe that. You're going to need more people. I smell cap. You protected him and you protected that ordinance that you wanted to push through. You protected that and you served that up to the public and restricted public input to help crack down on our First Amendment right. But when it comes to something this important, this culturally significant, you got us competing with a frenzied, vocal minority of folks. You've got us waiting almost 2 hours to talk about it. You got us staying up past 10 to participate in this discussion and to listen and learn from it. You put us through the rigmarole. You have us jump through all these hoops, all this bureaucratic nonsense. And you telling me, you showing me how you really fucking feel about equity, inclusion, and racial conciliation. That's what I wanted to say last night. It wasn't the Proud Boys that prompted that special session. It wasn't the Lightfoot militia coming armed at the battery in some sort of military formation. It wasn't the guy with the AR-15 trying to intimidate black and brown protesters and people and allies and whatnot coming out to support Black Lives Matter, Charleston. None of that prompted a special session. But the fact that Marcus crossed the street 3 times with a group of protesters, 24 protesters, abiding by traffic light and shit, not jaywalking, not obstructing traffic, but because they crossed the street to your protected ass business district, business interests, you then use gratuitous force to put down lawful protest. And then provide a pristine environment for Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds to lie to our council people and to the public about what really transpired during that protest. You protected him and insulated the chief and the police force. That's shown us that they have racial bias issues, that show us that they have issues with not being fair and transparent when they ticket folks, when they're writing fake tickets, when they got quotas, when they're pulling over black people disproportionately, when they're not disclosing or showing or displaying body cam and dash cam footage from officer-related shootings. They've shown not to be transparent or trustworthy time and time and time again through audit and through what was disclosed through thorough reporting from the Post and Courier. You instead give him more power and a pristine, interruption-free platform to talk lies, to speak lies, and then crack down on our First Amendment right. But when it comes time for racial equity, inclusion, you put us in this damn gladiator's pit with these other people who don't have a cogent political point of view, who are out here spewing nonsense about microchips and moldy masks. Tell me how you really feel. This is when you talk about, Black Lives. I don't want to see you in no dashiki. I don't want to see you in no dashiki. I don't want to see you cry at the base of a Calhoun monument, squeeze out a tear. I don't want to see you at the MLK luncheon or brunch or whatever the fuck it is. I want you to affirm your love for Black lives through policy. And I also want you to affirm your love for Black lives via the way you facilitate the policy-making process. You made democracy inaccessible to a large swath of folks who give a fuck, who care, who are invested, who vote, who volunteer at the polls. You silenced us. And you had things in place. If you really cared about Amber's work, if you really valued her contributions to the city, if you valued the commission that she led, you would have given her the same privileges that you gave the Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds. Someone who we was just recently found, whose leadership has been reported as being flawed and biased and racist and not transparent and writing fake fugazi ass tickets and ticket quotas, secret chats and shit. I don't hear that shit about Amber's her work record. I don't hear that about her. I don't hear any scandal or corruption coming from her office. I ain't heard shit but glowing praise, effusive praise from her peers and colleagues. Got us out here competing with anti-science, supporters of the big lie, hysterical white nationalists. You got us up here competing with white nationalists to show our support for a commission. I just had to get it off my chest. I had to get it off my chest. You created a special session for the shit you care about, cops. But when it comes to creating a special session where you could kind of, and I'm not saying I want them to continue to not let the public speak. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna skirt the rules, if you're gonna kind of blur the lines in terms of making sure democracy is available to everybody, if you're gonna do it for the right shit. If you're gonna break the rules, if you're gonna bend the rules, do it for the right shit. Don't do it for no cop whose leadership has been found to be flawed and filled with bias. Well, that's only the shit we know about. Why they fire Wendy Shriver? She was whack anyway, but why they fire her? Why y'all ain't talk about that shit? Why they fire her? And wasn't she brought in from Ohio to come solve this problem with her buzz cut and her sleeve of tattoos? Wasn't she supposed to come here with her Domino's pizza tracker and fix shit? You keep increasing their budget and their power, yet we're still dealing with the same bullshit that I had to contend with back in high school in 1997. Get the fuck out of here.
Not to mention things for consideration. For consideration. I bet if we were talking about the Holocaust and trying to change up the verbiage to call it something else. I bet if we were talking about race cleansing, okay, we wouldn't be changing those terms.
Look at Mike Seekins. You tired, Mike?
Why would we?
You tired, Mike?
Because we're dealing with issues.
You tired, Mike?
Relating to
he don't reserve the right to be tired
of enslaved people. Why are we looking at it differently? I mean, and why are we looking at it with a pack of lies? I mean, lies. Why are we making it a political issue? I've had council members to tell me, okay, that they can't support this because it would affect their election.
Fuck y'all.
What about the greater good?
Yeah, he did keep popping
I'm really
in and out the meeting.
I'm surprised at some of our council members who come from a heritage of struggle and sacrifice to now want us, because we're talking about Black people,
come on,
to soften and change language. Would you soften the word Holocaust for something else?
No.
Would you soften racial cleansing, which the Nazis were doing, for something else?
Again, I don't.
Why is it that when it comes to issues regarding
just like Mother Emanuel, just like black survivorship, Black trauma, racialized terror visited upon Black bodies, I don't want that and I don't think he did this gratuitously. I just think you gotta be careful when you draw those comparisons, because that's not my and I'm trying to practice this. If you say, well, Mika, you said it before, I'm trying to get better with that. It's not my tragedy to kind of use in this setting, in a political setting, if that makes any sense. I think you kind of just can get into, I don't think he was being disrespectful. I just think that you can get into some really like shaky ground. You can find yourself on shaky ground when you use the Holocaust to illustrate your point. I think you can just go ahead. Slavery is bad enough, and you could draw other things outside of the Holocaust, other atrocities, and even outside of ethnic cleansing of indigenous folk. Right? I don't want to use that either to make a political argument. I think there's enough. There are enough examples to draw from and enough things from our history to point to where we stood up and where we acknowledged, because we haven't done a great job here acknowledging the Holocaust. I mean, granted, we're not Germany, right? But there's things we could do that actually reflect a commitment to making sure that we never have what happened then happen again. Anyway, that's just my takeaway. I get it. And yeah, Mike going in and out, that's nothing new. Mike Seekins don't give a fuck. He just really don't. Especially with the black issues.
Enslaved people of this country, okay? We're trying to soften the words, make it something different. That in and of itself, to me, is discriminatory.
When he got in the car.
And biased as hell. We're not consistent. We did a proclamation recently introduced by Councilman Ross. It passed unanimously.
He called Ross out.
We didn't soften words.
Called Ross out.
We didn't change language. These are recommendations. These aren't action items. They can't become action items until this council approves it. Some may never even get to council for approval if they don't get out of the committees. So now what we're doing, because the pack of lies, and I mean lies, Councilman Griffin, I'm sorry to say.
He was on point with this issue. I'll give him that.
Some of what you're saying is not accurate.
There you go.
It is not true.
And you didn't read it.
Okay.
You did not read it.
Consideration of critical race theory is not saying that we're putting critical race theory as a part of the curriculum of schools. First of all, we don't have the authority to do that as a councilman. Considering 1619, okay, as a teaching instrument, those are Charleston County Schools decisions. But we would be remiss as a commission if we didn't take a holistic approach to ridding this city of the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow. Harry, you're young. Ross, you're young. You never had to sit on the back of the bus, okay? You never had to go in stores and not be able to try on clothes.
Like my mom and like my dad.
Because you're African American. You don't even understand or know what discrimination is. But yet you're out here pontificating, okay, on issues
Tell me how you
that
feel.
you're not even familiar
Tell
with.
me how you really feel.
Critical race theory is a course that's done in law school. Critical race theory just has to do with systemic racism in America. Why are we afraid to face it?
Come on.
That it existed and still exists. I'm just not sure quite where some of my council members are coming from at this point.
Oh, he gets to it, B-Man.
Because if we were talking about critical Jewish, okay, we would be having a totally different conversation right now.
Exactly, Kia.
But because we're talking about enslaved people who were brought to this country, killed, murdered,
tortured,
slain, and raped.
Come on.
And I can go on and on.
Brought here for the express purpose.
You guys are belittling that based upon your discussions. You are belittling a people. And I refuse to be silent on it because that's what you're doing. It's ludicrous what you guys are doing. You're stirring the pot with the wrong ingredients.
Intentionally.
The right ingredients should be for the greater good. not for your political campaigns. I had one of you to tell me
Come on, you should have said
that
their
the
name.
reason you're taking these positions is because you don't want to be associated with reparations.
Come on.
If people thought about that with regard to the Japanese and the Jews,
Indigenous.
change the language, you guys should be ashamed of yourself and what you're doing. What you're doing here. It is awful. Because we're dealing with enslaved African Americans, you want to treat it differently. And that's not fair.
That's Charleston.
Because you have no idea of what discrimination is. None. You're too young and you're white.
There you go, B-Man.
So you have no idea. And I think that you
Ross,
guys
what are you shaking your head
should
for, Ross?
really go back and read the document because you haven't.
Let me tell you
because
something.
if you had, you would.
I had to take minutes. I'm a horrible minutes taker. I had to take minutes for every time we met History Culture Commission, right? For History and Culture Subcommittee. And when I tell you the thoughtfulness that I had to record, I had so much so that I had to record it on my phone and also like record it on my phone and take copious notes, written notes to keep up with the thoughtfulness, the pensive, like, so I can only imagine what the other subcommittees poured over or poured out. Like just being part of my committee took a commitment, and we were not out there talking about taking down statues like that. We were talking, we visited that topic, and when we did, we say, hey, Sean Halifax from the Charleston County Parks. Sean Halifax like if we're gonna make that argument to take down statues, you have to make it indefensible. When we start talking about that, we're like, you know what? That's not the hill we want to die on. Let's talk about cataloging what currently exists, and talk about how we can memorialize the indigenous experience, the Gullah experience, the Latinx experience. How can we lift up more Black women artists? How can we create city art installations, permanent and temporary, that reflect the culture better than what we have here? A bunch of Daughters of the Confederacy shit, right? We learned how things are funded. We learned how monuments go up in the city, how most of it is subsidized privately. How the city punts on that every time and refuses outside of a marker, which they don't even put up. That's from the state. Those markers are not from the city. That's from the state, right? The preservation regime don't do shit to preserve Black properties, a Black memory, Black historical memory. Preservation Society, Historic Society don't do shit. In fact, they use their preservation powers to continue to perpetuate gentrification and keep these landowners of these rice plantations and whatnot, keep them wealthy for generations. So like we talked about all of that ad nauseum, at length. And to reduce what we did to some talking points from fucking Fox News is disrespectful. And to have this conversation this late in the hour, 3 hours and 10 minutes into a city council meeting that started 2 hours late is disrespectful. It's disrespectful and shows us how y'all really feel. And I'm saying y'all as the body, how they really feel about this issue and about this commission. And Ross, you up there shaking your head, bro. You can't relate, and it's okay. I don't get, this is the thing about white people get so defensive when you tell them that you don't have access to this type of discrimination. White people get so upset when you say you're not entitled to speak on this specific experience that you will never have. You got everything else, bruh. You a cisgendered, heterosexual white dude. With a law degree, you're credentialed. You have privilege coming out your ears. It's okay to not have access to this type of oppression. No one's saying that you weren't discriminated against for something. No one's saying that you weren't slighted. No one's saying that you never faced, trials and tribulations. We're saying that you don't have access or experience or expertise or this vantage point of being Black in America or being a descendant of the enslaved from South Carolina. You don't have that experience. So you can't speak to it. You can't. Stop making these bad faith arguments about CRT and shit. You ain't nobody teaching CRT. It's mentioned in the report. Reparations, you damn sure should be talking about reparations. Absolutely. You done took homes. You done took generational wealth. You done closed down black schools. You don't preserve any of the black institutions outside the Avery and a couple other handful of places. You don't preserve nothing. You should be giving back. You should be giving back. Sit wagging your head like a petulant child. Get out of here.
Wouldn't be coming up with this crap.
Come on.
And that's what it is.
No shame.
The commission has no authority to instruct the
Come on.
Charleston School Board
Stop making it a
to
boogeyman.
change their curriculums. What are you guys talking about?
What's that 96 acres?
It's not true. It's a lie.
Katie.
And that started early on,
It's a lie.
unfortunately, with a commission member
That's right, Harry. That's why you had to get your ass
who
kicked off.
cast things inappropriately.
Try to get me kicked off.
You're wrong. You're wrong, council members.
You can't organize.
For placing the lives.
You
and
can't organize with the Proud Boys and then try to have a moral high ground to stand on. You can't organize with the Proud Boys and then try to come into this conversation about racial equity. You can't organize and put your face on a flyer with the Proud Boys and call your peers homophobic slurs. You ain't got no moral. You ain't got a moral leg to stand on, Harry. You can put as many flags as you want behind your motherfucking head. You don't have any moral ground. None.
Struggles.
Oh
of
yeah, I got you.
African-Americans differently. You're doing exactly what we have been dealing with all of our lives.
That's just the West Side.
All of our lives.
We didn't get to the East Side.
And now you're saying citizens. There are 150,000 people in this town. How dare you say you represent 150,000 people's opinions?
Well,
because that's what you're trying to pull here. You guys have got to be very careful, especially people who are on the commission, who voted to at least get the report to council.
Come on.
And then voted against it?
Harry. Or Ross, because Harry got
Some
kicked
of
off.
the other commissioners pulled a better Harry than you did, Harry. Thank you, Mr.
That
Mayor.
was my favorite part.
Thank you, council member. We appreciate your passion.
Look at
and
Mike
your service
Seekers.
as
You
chairman
tired?
of the committee.
You tired?
I'll call on Councilmember Mitchell, who's been holding his hand up, and then I'd like to make a couple of remarks.
I'm gonna stop it there. Did they vote? Can somebody tell me, did they vote on that shit? Did they vote? I know you said Mika just fast forward. I'm so tired, and it wasn't in the paper. I'll hit up Chloe. I mean, I'll see if I can hop in her DMs, and I'll watch it in full after I hop off. But that was a compelling argument. I don't usually ain't the biggest rah-rah fan of Dudley, but he was talking right. 76 voted down. Oh wow. Okay, thank you. Y'all are so important. Thank you so much. That's Charleston. That's the real Charleston. That's the real Charleston. Okay, cool. That's what's up. Shout out against Icy. That's crazy. They voted against the 7-6. Could not find that. I went through, I Googled the article, could not find that coverage. But thank you so much. That's crazy. Is it at the bottom? That's Charleston, and it was designed to fail. It was going to fail. I'm upset too. It's crazy. I'm sure like many other black residents of Charleston, you're upset but not surprised. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Michelle, or anyone else, but that's how I feel. I feel upset but not surprised. But it was designed to fail. So I really do. I know y'all hear me yelling and using the F words and all that other stuff. I really do hope you hear what I'm saying. If the city had the will to really advance this commission and to support it and to make it permanent, you would have seen them position it and present it to the public in a way in which it wouldn't have to compete with white nationalists, racial animus disguised as anti-mask, disguised as a mask protest, right? if the city really wanted to advance this, and if the city wanted to really consider public input, they would have allowed the citizens' participation periods to be more robust. They would have sat on that. They would have sat there for as long as it took. They wouldn't have taken that extra hour and umpteen minutes with the Ways and Means convening, right? If the city really wanted to support that commission, you would have seen them demonstrate a willfulness, and it would have started at the top. You would have seen them demonstrate an ability to create space for Amber and her commission. So don't tell me that Black Lives Matter. Don't show up at the protests. Don't put up a black square. Don't join the commission and put your hands on your hips and say, I just can't, I just can't, I just can't. Don't do that. And then do this. Don't act conflicted and then do what you were going to do from jump. And Ross did pull a better Harry than Harry. Ross did pull a better Harry than Harry. And shame on those who voted against this commission. This is the real Charleston. And organizers, city council, organizers, this ain't no trade secret. This ain't no inside baseball here. Organizers, this ain't the only place for you to offer public comment. Okay? You don't even have to call in. Okay? Don't let 2016 Meek come out. Please don't bring her out. Please don't bring 2016 Meek out. I don't know if my knees can handle it. I'm about to be 41 Savage in November. I don't know. I don't know if my knees and my blood pressure can handle it. But this ain't the only place where you can offer public comment. You don't have to wait till these special Tuesdays at 5 and enter your access code. This ain't the only place, and this is not the only time for you to offer public comment. And I'm going to leave it there. This is the real Charleston. And you need to say that as loudly and as often as possible. This is the real Charleston. Fuck a Condé Nast. Fuck a Travel and Leisure. This is the authentic and real Charleston. The Charleston that likes to bake in the terrorism, the racialized terror that was the transatlantic slave trade. They like to bake it in to the tourism, the antebellum industrial complex. That's the Charleston. That's where we live, right? Oh, I love that hotel. It's so, oh my God, it was on the top list of places to stay. I love that hotel. I love that hotel. The one that's called Vindu. I love that. It's so pretty. It's near the fountain. Right? I love that hotel. I know what a Vindu is. Let me go to the hotel instead. I know what a Vindu is. It's not a hotel. I love Charleston. It's so pretty and picturesque, and the history and culture. What's the Vindu? Oh, Vindu means auction? Well, that doesn't sound bad. That doesn't sound bad. A Vindu that doesn't sound really bad though. Is a Vindu bad? They like to bake it in, and you're like, Mika, what are you talking about? You know. See if I can. No, that ain't it. I'm trying to find it. I think that's the cruel thing about Charleston is how subtle, or not so subtle, some of the vestiges of slavery. Peace out. No problem. The vestiges of slavery. Let me see. Or just like
Welcome to the Charleston Time Machine. I'm Nick Butler, historian at the Charleston County Public Library. Boisterous and pathetic auctions of enslaved people were once a familiar sight in early Charleston that often clogged busy streets and sidewalks. As urban congestion increased and public scrutiny from anti-slavery advocates grew in the second quarter of the 19th century, however, local government sought to compartmentalize and quiet this traditional spectacle. The advent of enclosed marts for the auction sales of enslaved people marked a significant commercial change that endured into the era of Civil War. Historic documents illustrating this revised form of human trafficking are not always what they purport to be, however. In an earlier podcast, we traced the geography of the auction sales of enslaved residents of South Carolina during the colonial era. Today's program continues that story beyond the...
We're going to go back there. Right? See if I can find it. Here we go.
Their numbers were very small at first, but increased steadily in the ensuing decades until enslaved people formed a majority of the population by the year 1708. Once there was an established population of enslaved people laboring in the South Carolina Lowcountry, the selling and reselling of these enslaved residents was not far behind. The death and indebtedness of property owners surely triggered the earliest local sales of enslaved people in the 1670s. From the owner's point of view, the simplest mode of sale was by private contract, in which two or more individuals privately agreed on the price and terms of conveyance.
It's just baked
This
into the
process
tourism.
often takes time, however, and the financial circumstances associated with estate liquidation and debt relief are not necessarily conducive to the relatively intimate, sometimes open-ended negotiations of a private sale. The most expeditious way of liquidating chattel or movable property was by public outcry or auction, also known in early South Carolina as vendu or vendu.
Okay. So that's just one really nice hotel, right? Y'all know the greatest hits. Y'all know my greatest hits. Y'all know my greatest hits. Oh, we can't have CRT in the language. The language. What about the children? The language. Meanwhile, you're peddling a history and culture.
What's important about that is it was the marker that helped us identify come to the United States. And there were millions more who went to South America and the Caribbean. Why? Because this was a deadly commodity.
Always.
Lifespan to cultivate sugar was 7 years life expectancy. And it altered women's reproductive systems. And so for people to wrap their head around the fact that in the United States it was cotton, wheat, sugar, rice, tobacco, and that we perfected
the 1619 project
increase.
is so bad.
400,000 people came to what became the United States, but at the end of the Civil War, there were 4 million enslaved African Americans who gained their freedom.
So the next image is the Ballast Stone.
The Ballast Stone. So we have a program called the Slave Wrecks Project. We go around and we look at slave shipwrecks around the world. We try to identify them, authenticate them, and raise artifacts from the ocean floor. The Ballast Stone is from the São José, a slave ship that left Lisbon, went to Mozambique, picked up captive Africans, was on its way to Brazil to sell them into slavery in Brazil. It crashed off the coast of South Africa. There were 512 enslaved Africans on board, 212 perished, the others were saved. Why? Because they were property and therefore profit. They were sold into slavery. But the Ballast Stone, what's important about that is it was the marker that helped us identify the ship, because ballast stones offset the human weight so the ships wouldn't turn over. Through doing archival research and maritime archaeology, we were able to identify this ship because the records show that there were 1,400 ballast stones aboard this ship. And when you think about it, think about how we read our landscape. Ballast stones cover the streets in Charleston, South Carolina. They come in different forms. In St. Croix, the ballast stones cover all of that landscape in the form of yellow bricks.
So ours are round. They didn't look like the ones you just saw in that slave wreck, that slave shipwreck, but it looks different. Why am I bringing this up again and again and again? It's because they want to sell us. They want to continuously remind us of the atrocity without telling us the truth and the honesty, giving us the honest accounting of how that atrocity came to be. You literally are calling a hotel a venue, you name it, even if you don't want to associate it with the trafficking of black bodies, even though Nick Butler explicitly shows you and tells you that that term became popularized during a time where folks felt a little squeamish about selling black flesh out there in the city market, when they felt squeamish because, you know, the black mamas was crying when you ripped the babies from their arms or when they put black people on the auction block, they were disrobed sometimes, right? And they were covered in lard to make to look shiny and look healthy, and oftentimes to keep them from defecating or performing other types of human functions like urinating and menstruating. They would plug the bodies of the enslaved Africans. So you're sitting on an auction block with certain cavities of your body being plugged just so you can be sold, so you can be marketed and sold at a venue. What do? We turn a venue into a hotel. What do we do with the Citadel? The Citadel was literally designed, created to put down slave insurrections violently. It wasn't a bunch of cops out there. Well, even though that is one of the early iterations of law enforcement, right? But it wasn't just about, we just gonna walk around the city and patrol. No. They built the Citadel. They built the Citadel to put down slave insurrection violently. The Citadel was a place where torture occurred. What did they do with the Citadel? They turned it into a pink hotel, right? A pink hotel. But you don't want to talk about that. You don't want to have a dedicated commission that talks about and examines that history. Okay, cool. Oh, because we got the museum coming, right? All right, so City Hall doesn't have to do shit, but you're just gonna, okay, I got you. They bake it into the tourism. They tell you that a plantation is a garden, even though rape occurred there, even though human trafficking occurred on those plantations, even though the subjugation and torture of black people, these were labor camps. You would never get mad. This is where I will make a comparison between camps, okay? Concentration camps and labor camps, right? Right? You would never get married at Auschwitz, but for some reason y'all think Middleton Place and Drayton and this one and that one, y'all think those places are prime places to get married. You would never get married on Auschwitz. But for some reason, Middleton Place and other plantations are amazing venues for weddings. Right? Right? And it's the fact that we don't talk about our history is that we're here. That's the larger point I'm trying to make very sloppily. The reason why all that occurs, the reason why you turn the word venue, which means literally auction, and how the culture of venue was used to traffic black bodies. The reason why that's a hotel, the reason why the Citadel is a hotel, the reason why one of the most used parks or the space where we have our holiday farmers market is on a Confederate flag-shaped park is because we do not teach the history. It's because we do not confront our past. That's why we keep doing this. That's why we talk about cobblestones instead of ballast stones. You feel me? That's why these plantations are preservation, wildlife conservatories where white people were able to use the preservation laws and practices to maintain access to this land, to receive all types of tax kickbacks and incentives of owning all this acreage. Right? That's why you gotta have a white man hop on that Netflix special and tell you that he's giving reparations by giving away rice seeds. That ain't reparations, bruh. And that rice, that Carolina gold is a blood diamond. It's tantamount to a blood diamond. You don't get your white wealth is built on black pain, torture, exploited labor. But we out here celebrating a white man and inviting him to Black Food Fridays. I'm sorry I had to say it. centering this white man's perspective at a black food event when he out there making millions off of what's the equivalent of a blood diamond. The reason why we're there and this type of shenanigans can happen, and black people, we gotta do better than that. Somebody tapped KJ and said, KJ, you gotta do better than that. You can't keep centering white folks when we talk about black food. I don't even know what that's about. I don't even know part of the game is that. And you know, we gotta stop centering white people and white people's sensibilities when we're talking about things. It's okay to be uncomfortable, Ross. It's okay to be uncomfortable, Sheely. It's okay to be uncomfortable, Carl. It's okay to be uncomfortable, Del Chopper. You're supposed to be uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable past. Can't even show your commitment to these values, these purported values, by making sure that this conversation takes place in a place conducive, at a time conducive to discourse, to constructive discourse. Some of them didn't even lobby each other. The ones who supported the commission didn't even lobby those who were naysayers or more reluctant. You didn't even lobby. You didn't even join us on the calls. You didn't even join our calls. Saccharin joined my committee a couple times. William Dudley Gregory joined the calls a few times, more than a few. I'm just saying what I saw in my committee, right? I didn't see that much enthusiastic participation. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. It was a lot. I thought I was gonna cover a little bit more. But it's a shame. It's a shame. Amber deserved better. Black people in Charleston deserve better. The city, regardless of gender, regardless of race, deserved better. The commission should have been discussed in a place and in a time that was conducive to thoughtful discussion. I even proposed, while we were still meeting as a subcommittee, I proposed that we have some sort of programming similar to this. This is a 1619 program from 2 years ago. Create some programming to engage the population. Make this a cornerstone of your tourism experience by having these kind of discussions someplace, maybe even open air, given COVID. You know, have this discussion about the findings of the commission before you even vote on anything. Create programming. Create programming where you discussed what we met on, what we talked about. You could have created a program where we present at the music hall. Maybe make it virtual, right? Limit the in-person participation. Make it virtual, like they did here. Make it virtual, and then look at all the people right there chiming in on the right here. Make it virtual. Advertise it. Put some of those advertising dollars with COVID-19 ad dollars to work. CVB. Have a create a space where we discuss this, right? City, throw your support. You didn't fund the commission. No one was getting paid. We were all volunteers. So we know how much you cared about the commission from your lack of funding. You had Saccharin up there trying to scramble to figure out ways to pay for it. Talking about some sponsorships. Did anyone even try to get the sponsorships? How hard is it? You got Google in your backyard in Monk's Corner. You got Volvo. You got BMW. You got Boeing. You got developer X, Y, and Z from overseas and from the Middle East and from Doha, Qatar. You got them. The money is here. The money is just sitting here. The money is here. Blackbaud, Boomtown. The money is here. You didn't fund the commission intentionally. You set it up for failure. You got what you wanted. And now what they're doing now is forcing our hand to support it privately, just like with monuments. Just like with monuments and memorializing of Black history, Indigenous history, Latinx history, just like with that issue, they're doing the same thing. They're forcing our hand to make this a private concern when the city should be. You wanted to celebrate 350 years last year. I'm glad. That's the one thing about coronavirus that I'm happy. It's not too many things that I'm happy about from coronavirus, but one of the things I was happy about is that they couldn't do that bullshit 350-year anniversary. What the fuck are you celebrating? What the fuck are you celebrating? And he thought he was gonna have one too. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring down this Calhoun statue. This gonna be a signature win for me." Nope, not yours. Not your win. Not your win. You should have been took it down. You lied to us forever. Told us you couldn't take it down. Then y'all vote mysteriously and it comes down. And see, you got to watch for the performative, right? The statute doesn't change the material. I'm glad it came down, but the statute doesn't change the material circumstances for Black people in Charleston, right? But what would have changed the material circumstances for Black people in Charleston? A thoughtful review and acceptance and an adaptation of that commission. That would have changed the material circumstances of Black people in Charleston. People of color, you could argue, but they didn't go for that. But watch for the performative, right? AOC in a dress at a gala where tickets cost $35,000 a ticket. Don't tell me about talking to the rich people. Don't tell me about talking to a bunch of rich people in a room about taxation. Don't talk to me about that. Talk to me about why you can't get other Democrats on board with that. El Cool J, I'm gonna sign off, but let me read this comment. El Cool J, you say exactly, the commission's work should have its own discussion separate from the chaos as well as the mundane ways and means overflow. Exactly. It's almost like mayor has a limited amount of tokens, right? Right? A limited amount of tokens marked as racial issues. And he used some on the Calhoun. Right, exactly. He made a calculation. He made a political calculation. How do I not upset the white people that we've brought here in droves, and either as part of the workforce to support this manufacturing job sector? How do we know that Charleston a few years ago earned the dubious distinction of being the #1 gentrifying city in America, right? So you know what that means. How do I not piss off the hordes? And that's the thing. Stop thinking that Charleston is blue. If Charleston was blue, this shit would have sailed past. It's just recommendations. It's just recommendations. If Charleston was blue, this would have sailed past. Only thing Charleston is blue on is women's right to choose, or a person's right to choose, access to abortion. Right? That's it. What you say, Katie, AOC's dress designer's partner is worth $100 million. Yeah, she's a millionaire from Toronto. Right. And is a descendant of Lee. Like, exactly. I think people, when I posted on Instagram, I think people thought that I liked the dress. I was offering up a critique, and I chose not to add context. But like I said yesterday, I'm not up in arms because she did a performative thing. A lot of politicians do performative shit. But it ain't nothing impressive. You wore a dress at a gala. Talk about tone deafness. You wore a dress talking about tax the rich at a place where that's not even A, not gonna be supported, B, that's not the place to have that conversation. It's just not. And the optics were horrible. And then you had mad protests outside the Met as it was happening. You should have been out there with them. All right, that's it. I know you're like, Mika, what makes you happy? Dudley made me happy yesterday, standing up for what he believes. But I also think that I'm glad he said what he said. I'm glad it's was on the record. I'm glad it was public. But I like somewhat to El Cool J's point about making these careful calculations. Dudley knew he could do that. Right? Dudley knew he had the moral high ground on that. That was a calculation too by Dudley. Because again, Dudley don't stand on the right issues with things like West Edge and other stuff like that. I'm critical. But it did make me happy to see a Black lawmaker speak that passionately about the commission and make sure that it's not mischaracterized by people who organize with white nationalists and also apathetic white moderates like Ross. Okay? All right, y'all. See you tomorrow morning. I don't have no clue what we're going to talk about. It won't be the Murdaws. Yeah. Fucking shit up makes me happy. Talking to you guys make me happy. Twitch makes me happy. And if I could get my viewership up to 100 people a morning or 100 people a time, that'll make me very happy. Serious note, if you got access to a drone, hit me up. I'm planning some actions. I'm planning a couple actions. I had to say it. I'll put it on wax. Hit me up. That's the last time I'm gonna talk about it though. All right, hit me up. Please make sure you. Oh, do me a favor. If you haven't already, if you don't like to catch the morning live stream, if it's too early for you and I got you. I was lucky. You were lucky. I was lucky to have you. Go over to Tamika Gadsden, my YouTube channel over here. And you know, start interacting with the content I put here. You can see a lot of shit I post don't get nothing but like 5 views, 3 views, 6 views. You know, you can find the content at Tamika Gadsden, the YouTube page, right? 100 videos are up there, including the book club from last year that was live streamed, then my VC's Garden, a bunch of things. But I take all the Twitch streams because Twitch doesn't keep them up permanently. So I take all the Twitch streams and put them on YouTube, right? And yeah, so sometimes they disappear from Twitch. You're like, oh man, I missed it. More often than not, even if I'm late, it'll go up over here on YouTube. You feel me? So even the old ones where I was positioned differently in my apartment, like, you know, my interviews with Fernando, my interview with Stephen Bowden is still good, right? These are the old live streams or old videos here. From the book club, the first book club convening, the second and the third, right? My commentary on Southern Charm, right? But more recently, I've been trying to step it up and make sure the presentation and consistency was in place. And so, go ahead and interact with that if you can, if you will, okay? I love y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. Y'all make me happy. This is democracy. If democracy not going to be alive and well in Charleston, we got to create spaces and facilitate conversations where we could talk about democracy. It's the International Day of Democracy. It's also the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month. It's the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's the International Day of Democracy. Let's go out there and do something democratic today and support Latinx business. Go support Fernando. Go support Fernando. All right? All right, y'all. Bye.